Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's Tropical Atlantic Marine Weather Briefing for Sunday, August 31st. Good news for the Atlantic Basin. Overall, no significant hazards are expected this week. We will be watching a tropical wave that's currently departing the African coast for some potential tropical development as we go through the week. And we'll continue to experience some pulsing fresh to strong winds over the south central Caribbean and some associated locally rough seas, mainly for the early portion of the week. We'll take a look at both of these potential hazards here over the next few slides. First off, the tropical wave moving off Africa today. In the tropical weather outlook, this is the 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook, and the yellow X marks the position of the tropical wave. The yellow shaded area is where there's a low probability of tropical formation, 30% over the next 7 days. Looking at the surface map today, you'll see the fresh to locally strong winds that are pulsing off of the coast of Venezuela and Colombia, and some associated high seas of 8 to 10 feet, mainly offshore Colombia. The other thing to note is a stationary front that stretches from about Bermuda across northern Florida and into the far northern Gulf. Most of the hazardous weather associated with this is north of our area off the southeastern United States coast, but some locally strong winds and higher seas will occur offshore the northeast Florida coast, and some showers and thunderstorms will also affect both sides of the Florida Peninsula today and tonight. As we go into tomorrow, the front will become stationary and begin to weaken. Still some showers and thunderstorms around, but very little threat of strong winds or rough seas. The fresh to strong winds offshore Colombia and Venezuela will continue with some associated rough seas, and much of the rest of the basin is quiet. For Tuesday, the front in the vicinity of Florida continues to weaken with diminishing weather associated with that. We will have the fresh to strong winds continuing in the south central Caribbean, which much of the rest of the basin remaining quiet. Any potential tropical system you can see is still off the map with pretty quiet conditions even in our eastern waters. By Wednesday, still no sign of any potential tropical system reaching 35 west, which is the eastern border of our area. So really much of the same with quiet conditions across most of the basin. The only area of strong winds is occurring over the south central Caribbean, with some seas maybe around 8 feet in that same area. Moving ahead to Thursday, this is when the tropical wave that currently is moving off Africa, that's when it may begin to push into our forecast waters to the west of 35 west. You can see here on our forecast map some elevated winds and seas. Keep in mind that if a tropical system does form, those winds and seas would be quite a bit higher. So this is the area that we'll be monitoring for the latter portion of the week for this tropical development. And finally, for Friday, you can see the potential tropical system much more clearly in our southeastern portion of our forecast areas with some rough seas and some higher winds. Otherwise, most of the basin still very quiet with the continuation of the trade winds in the south central Caribbean causing the fresh to strong winds and occasional locally rough seas. So to conclude, we don't have any significant hazards in the forecast. Our main area that we'll be watching is that tropical wave that's currently moving off Africa to see if it develops into a tropical system over the next 7 days. There is a 30% chance, a low probability of tropical formation as it tracks westward through the eastern Atlantic and into the central tropical Atlantic basin. Thanks for listening in to today's briefing. We'll have our next briefing on Thursday afternoon, that's September 4th, on or before 6 p.m. Eastern Time.